When Caleb Maraku copped a 12-month probation for the punch that knocked out a teenager, he left court grinning and infuriated 50,000 Australians who demanded his deportation. We're about to show you that smile wiped off his face as the Border Force takes Maraku into custody for a one-way ticket back to New Zealand.
Get a smile for the camera, Caleb? He's the one-punch thug. Anything you'd like to say? Escaping jail after this sickening coward punch on a stranger, Caleb Maraku can barely contain his joy outside court.
Say hi.
If we kick them out of our country, we're a better country for those people having left.
Home Affairs Minister Peter Dutton isn't pulling any punches, using his power as a minister to have Caleb Maraku deported.
If you come into our country, in no different a way, if you're invited into somebody's home, you don't start assaulting the residents of that house, you don't start assaulting Australian citizens, and if you do, you show them the door, and that's what we've done in a record number of cases.
It's 4 in the morning and we're about to meet up with officers from the Australian Border Force who are going to shatter the quiet of this Gold Coast neighbourhood and give Caleb Maraku the bad news that he's about to be deported. Under the cover of darkness, Border Force officers arrive and get into position around the house where Caleb Maraku is living.
Border Force, search warrant.
While we wait on the street, officers wake up those inside.
Search warrant, open the door.
Finally, the door opens.
Turn on the lights, man.
Search warrant.
Border Force officers have just entered the home where we believe Caleb is living. They're talking to whoever's inside at the moment and we expect them to bring him out shortly. At schoolies last November, 19-year-old Talazan O'Meara says he was standing up for a girl Maraku and his friends were heckling when he was attacked. He could have been killed after being knocked out cold and hitting the pavement. He woke with cuts, bruises and a split back tooth.
Next memory was being in the ambulance, but my memory is real foggy. I don't remember too much at all.
My responsibility is to the Australian public. In my job as Minister for Home Affairs, I need to do everything within my power to keep people safe.
Maraku pleads guilty to assault but walks from court with 12 months probation and no conviction recorded, something which sparks outrage online. More than 40,000 people sign a petition calling for him to be deported. And what makes all this worse is that he leaves court smiling while taking selfies.
Say hi. Babe, take a picture. Take a picture, babe.
Clearly appalled by the light sentence, the victim's mum wrote this open letter to Maraku. She says, "I hope you don't have to watch a video of the person who's hit your child laughing as they leave court and experience that sickening feeling that they really don't care nor have any remorse, not only for all the pain and suffering they've caused to the person they've hit, but the domino effect that it has had on all their family and friends." Anything you'd like to say? As you're being deported?
Look at all these dogs. Look how much it takes to get me out of my own house.
One comes out of court taking selfies like he's just achieved something, like he's won a world title. Like
Aussie superweight middleweight boxer Kerry Foley was so outraged by Maraku's behaviour, he challenged him to a fight.
what I want to do is obviously teach the guy a lesson. That's the first one. Teach him what a real man's supposed, what it takes to be a real man. Pretty much just raise money for the bloke that he hit.
The fight never happened, but it was a very different Caleb Maraku who emerged from his home handcuffed and flanked by border control officers. So you've nothing to say to your victim as you're being deported?
Many of these people who are committing offences don't deserve to become Australian citizens. And if we can cancel their visas and deport them before they become Australian citizens, we're going to save on welfare, we're going to be a safer society.
Maraku isn't the first Kiwi thug Peter Dutton has deported, using his power as a minister. He also deported Daniel Maxwell, one of the men responsible for the death of Cole Miller. Cole was an 18-year-old water polo player who was out on the town with friends when he was attacked. Cole's dad, Steve, went on radio to thank the minister.
He didn't know me from a bar of soap. Yeah, look, I hadn't thanked him before, but I just wanted him to know that we were grateful for his immediate actions to help on that day.
Maxwell was sent back to New Zealand after he walked from court on a suspended jail sentence. Steve Miller personally called the minister and asked for action, and Steve's public thank you moved the minister to tears.
It's an emotional thing because it really is.
It's heartbreaking. Absolutely heartbreaking. I was going to talk about some other things, but on a rather distressing note, I think we'll leave it, Minister, and we'll catch up next week, OK?
Thanks, Ray. Thanks to Steve. I'm so sorry to his family. I remember the phone call that I had with Steve Miller at the time, shortly after the incident, and it's one of those phone calls that stays with you because you could feel and hear the pain in his voice, and like any dad, he wanted justice for his son, and so we were able to work with that family. I think it's the right outcome in the circumstances, and again, I'm very grateful for his call to raise program.
Thousands of Australians signed a petition to see that you were deported, Caleb. What do you think of that?
Media age like changing the story.
Caleb Marricu moved to Australia 6 years ago. Not long after he arrived in 2012, he posted this on Facebook. Finally an Aussie, I already had a fight with at a train station, LOL. I beat him up. When he wasn't fighting, Caleb did play rugby league. Here he is at a training camp.
Oh yeah, it was a good privilege, It's really good to train with the boys. It was pretty exciting, learnt a few things, and yeah.
At the time he was arrested for last year's assault in Surfers Paradise, he was supposed to be banned from the nightclub district.
You get lots of criticism online and people attacking you for the decisions that we're making, but I believe very strongly that we are doing the right thing. We are making our country a safer place.
Why do people do it in Australia? Like, why do they punch people when they're not looking? I really don't. It doesn't make you a man, it doesn't make you hard, but they think that because they've knocked someone out, that they are tough. Yeah.
Not taking a selfie today, buddy, as you're being deported?
Out of my face,
Just move over into the next section.
Not looking quite as happy as you did when you walked out of court the other day,
You
mate.
know what happened, eh? They want to smash the camera in my face. I went back in and then laughed. Off.
Mate, it's 4:30 in the morning. Can you please just leave us a family alone?
As Caleb is led away, his housemates emerge to abuse us. So what would you say to any foreign criminal living in Australia who breaks the law?
Let it be a very clear message to people who are coming to our country. If you're coming here as a non-citizen and you commit a crime, you will be deported.
Simple as that.
That's it.
So it's a bit of a different story today, Caleb? Nothing you'd like to say, mate?
Caleb Marricu remains in an immigration facility. He's expected to be moved to New Zealand in the coming weeks.